All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching me across the states in Nigeria. And I must say that whether on a small scale or an international scale, it's worth doing. What is worth doing is worth doing well. And the issues revolving around international dealings and businesses in Nigeria are a platform for checkmating. Of course, when I say checkmating, I'm talking about some of our practices and, of course, the way forward to improve foreign investors in terms of their confidence in bringing in businesses into our system. Again, I say welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Kike Atanda-Owo, and of course, I think it's important for us to hear what On This Day in History segment asks for us. Let's go on a quick break, and when I return, I'll come and give my submission on that. Stay with me, I'll be right back.
On this day in history, 24th October 1799, the transatlantic slave trade has been enormously profitable for England, France and Portugal during the 18th century now ending, with 90% of enslaved Africans transported to the Americas by these three countries. Half of all enslaved African moved on this route during the 400 years of the transatlantic slave trade were transported in the 18th century. It's worth noting that the 18th century was particularly significant in the history of the transatlantic slave trade, as it saw the highest volume of enslaved Africans transported during the entire 400-year duration of this horrific trade. The trade's legacy continues to have profound social, cultural, and economic implications for Africa and the Americas to this day, underscoring the enduring impact of this dark chapter in history.
All right, many thanks for staying with me. I think, the takeaway for On This Day Initial segment today is about that we saw half of the All-African transported in the 400-year duration of the trade. Today's segment was also highlighting its peak in, in brutality and, of course, in scales as well, and the enduring legacy of these trades that still cast a long shadow, influencing socials, cultural and economic aspects in terms of in Africa and of course in America as well, and reminding us of the profound and lasting impact of this tragic historical chapter. I think that's the message for on this day in history segment. I think it's important for us to quickly get the message from my sponsors, and when I return, we'll go straight to the conversation. Stay with me, all right? I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. And of course, I'm talking about the issue that affects us all today, which is the federal government of Nigeria that has won the legal case against the Process and Industrial Development, that is the P&ID Limited, in London court on Monday. And the judgment was delivered after 5 years of legal frameworks, which have finally been to the advantage of Nigeria, as the courts quashed the $11 billion on arbitration award in favor of the P&ID and of course, in a ruling delivered by the email, Ruben Knowles, the Justice of the Commercial Courts of England and Wales, upheld his Nigeria's prayers on the ground that the ill-fated gas processing contract was obtained by fraud, and this case sets an important precedent in the fight against corruption and the predatory international investors, targeting developing nations. And on the live show today, the implications of this judgment for deterring fraudulent practices, protecting nations from such behaviors, and of course the significance of global collaboration in achieving justice is what I'll be touching on today. I will also be having real talk around the internal practices and perpetrations that are negative in terms of business dealings for foreign investors, just like I said earlier, and of course capturing the lessons learned with this judgment. And before without further, I think it's important for us to check the profile of my guest. And when I return, the main conversation will continue. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, welcome to the show, San Ebolu Adegboruwa. I hope I pronounced the last name proper. Adegboruwa. It's a pleasure to have you on the talk show today. Many thanks for creating time to be here with me. How are you doing today, sir? Let's start from there. Can you hear me? I can barely hear you. I don't know if my technical team can take note of that quickly. Can you hear me, sir? Is the audio at your end? Can you hear me?
Thank you so very much.
Fantastic.
It's my pleasure to be on your program.
Thank you so much for honoring the invite. Let's just go straight to the topic at hand, because I know we have little time frame. I would like to touch on the UK judge that dismissed the US $9.6 billion, in terms of the judgment against Nigeria in favor of the process, and the Industrial Development Limited for the alleged breach of gas supply and processing agreement, that is the GSPA. I would like you to touch, throw light on that in terms of the consideration of the final outcome of the case. How would you describe the legal journey on this case?
Thank you very much. I think, like you stated during the introduction, is that we have come to the realization that some Western or foreign nations take advantage of developing nations in respect of certain commercial transactions. And this has led to loss of income and underdevelopment for these nations. And it's not just in respect of the process and industrial development case. If you go through Nigeria presently, you will see so many of these projects, especially in relation to the Ajakuta steel rolling mill, and so many of those white elephant projects, the refineries, and so many of them that have not seen the light of the day. So what has happened is that we got to a point where we had a leader, the former head of state, president, Mr. Muhammadu Buhari, who stood his ground, supported by the vice president and the then attorney general, and stated that they were not going to pay the sum awarded as judgment. And that opened a can of worms, whereby we were able to discover that the company itself did not have the capacity to undertake the kind of contract it was marketing to Nigeria. It was just like a briefcase entity registered in Virgin Islands without financial capital, without knowledge, without experience. And through collusion and collaboration with Nigerian government officials, was able to secure judgment during arbitration that will have thrown Nigeria into monumental losses. So I think that for me, there are many lessons that we can take from this judgment. And I think the first thing is to note that integrity and transparency of our judicial process is very key. You had a judge who was not under pressure. You had a judge who had facilities to work. You had a judge who had access to all documents and was able to assess those documents independently without any extraneous factor or influence. And then we had a judge who got cooperation from lawyers in the UK, both lawyers for Nigeria and lawyers for PNID. Everybody made very frank and full disclosure of facts and documents. There was nothing hidden at all. And so I think that is something that we should learn in our own jurisdiction, how we can get justice to the people above technicalities. The judge dwelt on the substance of the case and was able to discover the underlying fraudulent activities, that was Nigeria into almost back. So to me, it's something we should look at in our own judicial system in Nigeria, how citizens can go to court and get justice based on the facts of the case without dwelling on technicalities. It's very important for our system.
All right, many thanks for your insights right there. I want to talk about the judge because the judge noted that the P&ID had engaged in several abuses of arbitral, in terms of their process, and of course the common which I believe that he emphasized that this is common in our system. How can we rectify our processes with international organizations, especially with foreign oil companies like Shell, Chevron, so many companies like that who have litigation involving our government at state and of course at federal level? That's my first question to you. And my second question is the fact that the P&ID had agreed with Nigeria in 2010 to build a gas processing plants rather in Calabar, that's Cross River State. But the company said that the contract failed because of the Nigerian government that did not fulfill its end of the bargain. What are the potential next steps, following these judgments, particularly in determining, costs payable by P&ID and of course addressing other related matters?
Thank you. Let me answer the first question on how Nigeria should relate with foreign partners, especially international oil companies and other foreign entities that are doing business in Nigeria. I think the lesson from the P&ID case is the lack of regard for data by Nigeria and indeed most government entities. And it's something that we need to leverage upon, to use technology to be able to track
Right, I think unfortunately we have to go on a quick break and re-establish connection with my guests. When I come back, the conversation will continue. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. This is Real Talk with Kike, and of course I have a lawyer, a son, who is throwing light on the issue of the P&ID, wins for Nigeria, and there's quite a lot of victory going on, celebration going on, which I feel that it shouldn't be, but it's okay. Are you there? Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry about the network. I was answering your question about what to do in relation to transactions between Nigeria and its major foreign partners, especially companies that do trading in multinational transactions. I said that the lesson from the P&ID case is that, with due respect to all our public servants, professionals who work in government departments and parastatals, it would seem that the zeal, the passion, and patriotism displayed in respect of major transactions involving our country is deficient. And that means that it may be important as a lesson for Nigeria to always engage professionals in private sector as consultants who can then give independent advice and counsel in respect of major transactions to avoid possibilities of compromise in respect of those transactions. Because in this P&ID case, if there had been a professional or a consultant independent of government entities, most likely there will have been a lot of caution before these contracts were executed, and even in the arbitration that led to the award that was made against Nigeria. So I think it's a lesson we'll take going forward. Then on the issue of the consequences of this judgment, I do not think that we can get any further remedy, as it were, beyond the fact that we have been rescued from this monumental embarrassment that Nigeria was subject to. I believe that the company, given its profile, is not even in a position to offer any assistance or compensation to Nigeria for the money spent on gathering lawyers, both in Nigeria and in the UK, to be able to defend this.
Unfortunately, I think we have we've lost that connection again. But with all what my guests have said thus far, I just feel that the judgment just serves as a strong message, if you ask me, in terms of the international investors trying to engage with us in Nigeria in how, in ease of doing business, in the processes, in how we do things, and of course our practices. I just feel that this is a big lesson for every one of us, both internationally and locally, for those who are doing businesses, and of course attracting investors to come into the country in terms of developing nations. I understand that my guest is back. Hello, are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm
all right, we keep losing connection with you, but quickly, because I know that we are running out of time, because you have other things to do. I'd like to ask you these two questions because of time, because I feel that the court findings shed light on the P&ID's fraudulent activities in terms of bribery, in terms of efforts to defraud the Nigerian government, and of course the Nigerian government as well, that was led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that you mentioned earlier, in terms of maintaining a steadfast position against settling with fraudulent counterparties or counterparts, or condoning corruption, basically. I must ask you, is the win for this administration or Nigerians in general? What are the lessons? I know you've mentioned the lessons learned in terms of transparency, but I would like you to throw other lessons that I feel that we should pick from it, especially when it comes to attracting investors to come to Nigeria. That's my first question, sir. And my second question is the fact that I feel that one serious problem with our system is that we often just hear the big news of the wins, and Nigerians will be expecting to see what our government have done with our money or does with our money. We win in terms of transparency and accountability. What are your words for our government on the USD 11 billion from the arbitral award, so to speak?
Thank you very much. In respect of your first question, Ma, I believe that the government should take this case as the necessity for investing in the judiciary. Because anybody who wants to invest in any nation would first consider the judiciary of that nation, especially in relation to the dispensation of justice and also access to justice. We have challenges with our judicial system in Nigeria in terms of the slow pace of the prosecution and defense of cases. And this is why in most cases when Nigeria has major transactions with foreign organizations, they prefer to insert a clause that in case of dispute, arbitration should be in any foreign commercial capital, Paris, London. They don't agree to subject themselves to the jurisdiction of Nigeria for the determination of cases. And this is a disadvantage to us because the laws that will probably guide that transaction will be the laws of those foreign nations. It will expose us to undue expenses. So we have to invest in our judicial system and have a system of settling or resolving cases that can be transparent, that can be very cost effective and fast, so that Nigeria will then become a destination for foreign investors. Unless we do that, we'll continue to have cases such as P&ID, where companies rush to foreign jurisdictions to get arbitral awards against Nigeria because of the hostile nature of our judicial system, which is considered to be very unfriendly. Now, on the issue of what we can take from the setting aside of the award, I think generally, before you would get the court to make this award, Nigeria was supposed to give a guarantee, that if it loses the case, it was in a position to pay. Now that it has won the case, the money that was supposed to be paid should be channeled back into our economy in order to improve infrastructure, in order to help build refineries and reactivate them. What P&ID was supposed to do, which it had no capacity to do, Nigeria should now use that money to be able to invest in those infrastructure in order to boost our economy and give the advantage of the judgment to the generality of our people in Nigeria. Otherwise, it will just probably be an effort in the drain if at the end of the day, we won this case and then we still do not have the facility that led to the case in the first place. So as a memorial for the people of Nigeria, the administration of President Bola Tinubu should invest majorly in our refineries so that we can reduce the burden of our people in respect of the removal of fuel subsidy. That probably will be the advantage that I think Nigeria can expect from this government in respect of the P&ID case now.
Fantastic submission right there. I don't know if I can get 1 minute from your time quickly, because I know that there were a lot of interruption in terms of network from both ends. But quickly, because you mentioned something earlier, which is about the justice ahead, and I want to touch on the justice based on success. Success in this case was achieved through close interagency collaboration involving, several key Nigerian government agencies. I would like to ask you, how can this administration, strengthen interagency collaboration for ongoing cases and future cases of this nature?
Honestly, I believe that if politics is removed from the functions and responsibilities of most of our agencies, they are very well competent to perform excellently well compared to other agencies in other jurisdictions. The bane of our agencies, of the performance of these agencies, is the political interference, because politicians seem to use these agencies to further their political agenda or ambition, especially the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the ICPC, the DSS, the regular police. If these institutions are allowed to function independently and autonomously, they can do the same job as being done by Metropolitan Police and even other agencies abroad. It's because of the selfish interests of political leaders that they have been able to capture these agencies and not allow them to function effectively. So there should be funding, there should be dependence, and then capable hands should be deployed to these agencies to secure optimum performance.
All right, many thanks again to my resourceful guest, San Ebo Olu. Adegboruwa. I hope I pronounced the last name properly. Many thanks for all your submission thus far on the quest. And I wish you the very best in your personal life and, of course, in your career. And I think we'll go on a quick break. When I return, the conversation will continue. Stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Real Talk with Kike. All right, many thanks for staying with me. If you are just tuning in, this is Real Talk with Kike, and of course, the first segment of the show, I had a discussion with my resourceful guest, Mr. Ebolu, who actually threw a lot of light on the issue at hand regarding the P&ID lessons and the progress going forward, especially when it comes to, how in terms of transparency and of course on how we can move forward on issues like this and actually look for how to attract investors into our country, Nigeria. And I must say many thanks to my guests. And on this note, I think it's important for me to quickly go straight to trending. And I'm excited about trending, because I feel this is where I'm able to give my opinion on the issues that affect us all. And the first trending story that caught our attention is that of the many manufacturing companies that have altered their operations away from Nigeria. Is almost similar to the topic at hand, in terms of how we do ease of doing business and how we go about the processes and the likes. And it is so sad that this problem is getting worse in our system, and it is more disheartening that it is also getting worse every day. For entrepreneurs, for those who are in the SMEs, industry, you understand what I'm saying about this challenge or this issue or this problem at hand. And the problem has persisted in Nigerian system due to combination of factors, including, corruptions, which is part of the, issues that my guests and I have thrown light on the first segment of the show. When it comes to inconsistency with the government, when it comes to policies, when it comes to inadequate infrastructure as well, and unreliable power supply. Can I touch on that? Yes, because the corruption can undermine effort to address these issues effectively, and inconsistency with government, the policies, it creates uncertainty for business owners or business owners like us or businesses in general, making long-term planning and investments difficult. It's so fortunate that we lack, there's this lack of reliable infrastructure and power supply that increases its operational costs, and of course reduces productivity as well. And these systematic issues need a comprehensive and sustained effort to be addressed. And every day I keep wondering, are leaders listening? Because the political will is critical for implementing these solutions effectively. Unfortunately, it is easy for us to, say all of these things, but I just feel that things are getting worse every day. It's far difficult to repair a system like ours today, also with the inflation at hand. Nonetheless, I feel that the Nigerian government should actually prioritize infrastructure development, if you ask me, particularly in power supply, particularly also in transportation. I must show light on that. And also enhancing manufacturing efficiency, reducing operational costs, implementing a stable and, transparent foreign exchange policy that will help to mitigate the currency inflation and all the scarcity of issues. The scarcity is so much that I just feel that it has come to a place where we are not moving forward. And again, fostering a more stable economic environment. Things are beginning to stream into things that are beginning to wonder, where is the taxation processes? Are they even adding up right now? Because when you look at the time of signage of when you collected a business from an organization to now executing it and the profit, I'm wondering, how are they coming to these taxation processes? And eliminating multiple layers of taxation is something I also want to touch on, with the fact that I feel that it will elevate the financial burden on manufacturers and improve the ease of doing business in this country, if there is any. Yes, because there's no ease of doing business in this country. I run an organization. I have this platform, which is also an organization who are effectively working hand in hand together and encouraging. I just feel that, you know, the government are not helping us in terms of what we are doing right now, especially with encouraging us with the local sourcing of raw materials for those who are actually sourcing for materials and the likes. We keep promoting, you know, buy Nigerian goods and all of that, but are we promoting the domestic manufacturing wheel as well, which I feel will also reduce the, you know, the relevance, or how would I put it, that on import and foreign exchange in terms of fostering economic and self-sufficiency and reliance with the issue at hand. I just feel that government can do something quickly and things will change, because regardless of why we are talking about this, I feel that this is also the reason why there's a brain drain in our country right now. Quite a number of people want to jackpot, sackpot, whatever words that applies to you all right now. I just feel that that is also what is affecting it. And if things were better, if things were good, I do not think that many people will go out of this country. I think, which is almost similar to my second trending story right now. I think I should hold my breath on that. And I think the second trending story for me is the alarming rate of marital breakups and challenges for African migrants in diaspora. And if you are listening to my last what's it called, submission, or my last sentence, or my first submission, is the fact that I feel that the matter is continuous. That's the reason why I felt that let me hold my breath to touch on this second trending story and give my submission properly, because we are seeing rising trend from Africans, you know, migrating to Europe, experiencing this same outcry or this same outcome. And the biggest problem right now, I like to call it challenges, but right now, I think when I use the word challenges, people do not feel the impact of my word. So let me just use the word problem. The biggest problem right now is our government. Yeah, I'm keeping it real on this platform. Yeah, the biggest problem right now is our government, but I will come back to that. First off, it is motivated in nature that there's a financial side or financial angle to matrimony that I would like to touch on right now, because however we are looking at it from the matrimonial side of this topic, I also want to look at it from the social cultural aspect of it, because some legal aspects of this will not actually do justice if I don't touch on the social cultural angle of or aspect of this issue, because we are traditional in our ways, in our thinking, and I want to believe that there's no smoke without fire. Because when I saw this trending on socials, I was like, there's no smoke without fire. There must have been an issue in that marriage before they traveled. Being outside the country just exposed the faults, you know, or the faulty side, that's the word, the faulty side of their matrimony. The lady must have been complaining, you know, there could have been maltreatment from her end, if you ask me. For all we can see, we can only hear the side of the man, because I just feel that women are nurturers. Women, you know, women cannot just wake up one morning and just react like that. I'm sure Eno is agreeing with me right now with the issue that she's nodding her head. That's my floor manager right now that is talking that, yes. But then again, women, when they travel or when we travel, I want to keep it real on this platform. Some of us, some people actually fall under peer pressure in terms of all sorts of things that are aligning to their background as African value. So people start they start comparing notes with their friends, with their colleagues, you know, with their church members. You know, I just feel that they could have told a part of sacrifice to make the relationship work. When I saw these stories online, now that they are in the new country, they are taught all sorts of negatives, you know, some ills. Some don't even get submissive anymore to their husbands. Some women will just feel that I've arrived, I'm earning a lot of money, you know, compared to what my husband is earning and the like. So then they just now start seeing that their men start changing. Men then begin to ask questions and the likes, and those are the issues that I feel that will further actually put their problems in their faces. But most of them, though, I will not like to regret it later on at the later part of their lives. I'm talking about the women now, because when you've exposed your husband and you want to kind of feel that, you know, you're not an independent woman, you want divorce, you want this. I keep telling people that if the man is not beating you, is not cursing you out in terms of verbal abuse, emotional abuse, girl, there's no perfect person out there. You know, it varies. You know, there's a relationship comes with its own peculiarity. Whether you're married, a divorcee, a widow, a single person, or you want to go and be fifth wife or whatever, every relationship comes with its own peculiarity. So let's flip this on the other side, because the men too should realize that women now have their voices. They now know their rights. And they're taking advantage of this when they are in a foreign land where they feel that they can air their own story, and there will be a listening ear and justice will be served. So in a society where women have advantage, can the men actually be more sensitive to them and be more cautious, especially when children are involved? Because I feel that quite a number of issues that happens right now in marriages, that's the reason why you see that most children become a pattern of where they grew up, because they do not know better. So I'm always calling on the parents to be conscious of their actions, be conscious of their choice of words and your decision, because whatever decision that you decide today, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, when elephants fight, the grass will suffer. So in my head, may we just, you know, may God just give us the sense to do what is right, not just by our children but by ourselves, because I always say to myself, the children will eventually leave, it will remain us. Are you okay with the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, in terms of partnership and how you want to continue to journey life together? I think that this is my takeaway from on trending on this story. Unfortunately, you know, we are wrapping up early today. I want to say many thanks to everybody, including Eno, who was nodding to all my to all my commentaries, and of course to my technical team. At least today nobody is running commentary in my ears, but I wrap up, but it's time for us to go now, and I look straight into the camera, but I sit upright. And of course to my ever amiable PA, who is always attentive anytime I look this way, left or right, you know. And I just want to say thank you all, and to the organization, to the team at large, to Silverbird. You know, I'm forever grateful for the partnership between us. It's been a journey of almost 2 decades, or 2 decades actually, you know, starting my media career from here, and having the honor to know that it's time for me to return to a place that actually bettered my career. And on that note, I'll forever be grateful for that, even though sometimes we clash in terms of how we run our processes, which was part of the things that I discussed today. May we all learn from that, so that we all don't find ourselves in court tomorrow. This is where I draw the curtains of the show. Till I come your way on Thursday, remember to be kind to one another. Put a smile on somebody's face, and bye now.